The death of Alexander. Alexander the Great became king when he was only 20. Most people today haven't even finished college when they're 20. But at this young age, Alexander inherited a throne and all the responsibilities of a ruler. It only took Alexander 11 years to spread his empire all across the ancient world. One story tells us that when Alexander was still young, he burst into tears one day because there was no more of the world left to conquer. He had already conquered it all. What would Alexander the Great have done next? We will never know because Alexander died suddenly when he was only 32. He was planning on taking an expedition with his army when he began to feel weak. He decided to wait a day or two until he felt better. Go ahead and make all the preparations, he told his generals. We will go as soon as I feel better. But that day never came. Alexander got weaker and weaker. Finally, he was too weak to speak. His generals came to see him, but Alexander could only move his eyes. The next day, he died. No one knows exactly why he died. Some people think he might have been poisoned by one of his generals who wanted his power. Others say that he probably died of malaria, a fever caused by mosquitoes who carry certain kinds of germs. We will never know for sure. Alexander's body was put into a glass coffin and taken back to the city of Alexandria. The coffin was placed in a stone sarcophagus there in Alexandria. Alexander's generals knew that no one else could control Alexander's large empire. Only Alexander could manage to rule a huge kingdom, so they divided it up. One of the generals took Macedonia and the northern part of Alexander's kingdom in Asia Minor. Another general named Ptolemy I took over Egypt. His family would rule Egypt for 300 years. Ptolemy was responsible for finishing the city of Alexandria. He built a huge library in Alexandria and filled it with books. A third general named Seleucus took over the southern part of Asia Minor and Alexander's lands in Asia, almost all the way to India. The descendants of Seleucus were called the Seleucids, or the Syrians. Now Alexander's great empire had become 3 separate kingdoms, with 3 kings fighting for power. Alexander brought a very brief time of peace by uniting different cities and nations into one country. But that time of peace was over. Alexander's 3 generals and their descendants would spend the next 100 years fighting over control of different parts of Alexander's old kingdom.